I'd now like to welcome our last presenter for this evening, Omar from Arete Organics.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Jess, Damien, to putting this beautiful night on. Actually, Clive spoke so briefly, but yet it was so in-depth. In a little time, he covered everything that he could cover. I don't think I need to speak anymore. It was simply amazing. Thank you, Clive. My story is basically I was a very sick child. We all are sick in some ways, but I was really sick. At the age of 14, I believe it was year 8, my doctor, unable to explain it to me why blood pressure happens. I had a really high blood pressure. He couldn't explain it to me. And I thought, you know what, that's not right. That can't be right. And of course, after that, it continued, getting more sick. Stuff like ankylosing spondylitis. I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not. It's a really chronic illness. Rheumatoid arthritis. Back in 2009, eventually I was paralyzed from upper body. I didn't have any movements from upper body. Sitting in St. George Hospital. It was a tough time. It was real tough. And the thing that actually fixed me was whatever I researched, I thought it's not going anywhere. You know, sitting down in a little hospital room, you're half naked, people looking at you funny, and there's nothing happening. And I thought, I researched since the age of 13, 14. It is time. It is just about time to believe what I know. Believe in the simplistic facts of life. And ever since I did that, I'm right here. I'm doing things that I'm not supposed to do. I had no right to do what I'm doing today, to stand up, work 7 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever. I want to know your story. I want to ask you a bunch of questions. But this is what drives me, my health, well-being, and everybody else's well-being, helping people. But I do want to know what drives you, what gets you out of the bed. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, if that's all right, of course. So what do you guys think are the biggest key issues that are facing our communities in the world, and in particularly in Australia? Health. Stand right. Environment. Anything else? Ego. Yes, that too. And the importance of where your food comes from. That's right. So if you look at today, the main problems that we see on the TV and the news are basically foreign ownership of our lands. Is that right? That's one problem out there. Climate. Terrorism, people dying. Now, there's a girl named Sally Davis. She's a chief medical officer in the United Kingdom. 2013, she said, the biggest problem we're facing for humanity is the overuse of antibiotics. I'm not saying that. She's quite a credible person. That's what she thinks. Now, I hope you guys know that too, that 1 in 2 male and 1 in 3 female will have cancer in their lifetime. I find it really important. I mean, I get that. We need to secure our land. Foreigners should not be buying our land. I get that. 1 in 5 individuals in Australia will have arthritis. 1 in 6 will have some kind of mental condition. These are the significant things that we don't hear that in the radio, in the news. It's not the part of the bulletin. When I've heard the first time that we had 140,000 people die, and half of them died of cancer or heart disease, that's half. That's a lot of people dying. I don't see no news bulletin flashing up somewhere saying it's a big number dying. Now, if we believe that is the main issue, and people are really dying, there's Alzheimer's, Clive talked about mental conditions, heart attacks. I often talk about in this little clip as well that you can't take a simple food to school because everybody has an allergy. Are you for real? Like, we all have allergies. I mean, the funny thing is, it does not happen in the third world. So we meant to be the most smart, advanced, sophisticated, powerful race in the world, the first world. However, However, these basic problems do not occur in the third world. That does not make me happy. Does it make you happy? It does not make me happy. Now, I mentioned it again that Clive did speak about it briefly, and of course quite powerfully, that there is a correlation. We need to look at this correlation. Can anybody help me where this correlation is? Why do we have all these diseases in Australia, in the first world, United States of America, Canada, Europe, but you don't find them in the first world? There's no allergies. They don't exist. Gluten intolerance do not exist in the third world. Maybe exists 5%, but every second person in this room probably have gluten intolerance or don't take gluten. Does that intrigue you guys or just only me? That's what I'm talking about. So it's really is time to think about this as to why. Why us? Why the first world? We're supposed to be the most advanced race in the world. Now, I'll give you a bunch of little things to think about when you go home, right? Yes, we live in the most sophisticated society. I get that. But what changed here? After the Second World War, we introduced 400 plus chemicals in our households, environment. No due diligence. I love this word, due diligence. No due diligence. Some business want to sell you this, and we got straight into it. Yeah, I need that. I need to spray this goddamn thing in my household because I can. It look fancy or whatever. Nothing natural no more. Can someone tell me where the herbicides came from? That's damn right. But why? What? That too. That's right. After the Second World War, this is my belief, you guys, I would ask you to do your own research. After the Second World War, there was factories who were making neuron gases to kill people. The factories, the people, the infrastructure, everything was there. Guess what? They're starting to make herbicides, fungicides. The philosophy, the basic knowledge behind it is exactly the same as in neuron gases that used to kill people. And if we think overuse of antibiotics, herbicides, fungicides is going to be okay, I say good luck to us. Good luck to all of us. It's time to think a little bit more about that. Now, there's one topic being left out in the previous conversations, and that's really important to me. That is real important to me. Does anybody in this room know what GMOs are? Genetically modified organisms. That's right. Genetically. I need to move this thing too. Sorry. Damn. That's quite behind. Food. That's right. That's right. So, GMOs. This is me. This is what I love. GMOs. Does anybody know what GMOs are? That's right. Can anybody else throw some light on it? I mean, I'm trying to make it interactive because, I'm a learner like you guys. I ain't no one. I'm just a student of health. I always want to be a student of health.
Foods that put a pesticide in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's free has a pesticide in the seed. So, yeah.
That's exactly right, Neil. That's exactly right. Now, let me explain to you in a very short time. I believe you're running short of time. So, there are two kind of people in this world. Whether you believe in God or you believe in the evolution process. Whatever GMOs are, this is something that cannot occur in nature. It's simple as that. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you do hybridization of a crop, you cannot have a GMO seed. Now, this is something you need to do in a lab situation, right? You get a gene out of, say, for example, animal, say a spider, which is known to be resilient to weather, water, and you add that to a rice. Forcefully, in a lab situation, you add that to a rice. And you turn up with the rice that does not need a lot of water to live, to grow. That's okay. It sounds beautiful in science. It sounds beautiful. Just two things to remember. One, you will not be able to regrow the seed, which is okay for business, right? You make bucket loads of money, that's fine. Who cares? Number two, and I say that with all the due respect to everyone out there, doctors, engineers, agri-scientists, you need to understand the science of toxicemia, toxicology. And until you don't understand that word and how it works, how toxicology works, we do not know what it does to us. And if an agri-scientist is okay saying to me, I have spoken to a number of them, PhDs, Fulbright scholars, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with GMOs. That's okay. The only time ever any study done on GMOs before commissioning in the European Union, before they were sold to European Union, a guy named Arpad Pusztai. You heard of him, haven't you? $15 million, 2 labs, bunch of staff. European Union asked him to, hey, can you make sure they're okay for us? And guess what happens? After half the time, he said, I can't do that no more. You know why? Mark, do you know why? Let me tell you this. After what they did, they got a bunch of rats. And I'm not a fan of animal testing. It's cruel. Rats, 100 days equals to human days, 100 years. Now, the rats that were fed on GMOs died in 80 days, meaning 20% less life. But that was not a big problem. The bigger problem was every single organ in their body was inflamed, degenerated. And they have tumors bigger than the size of their body. So he walked away. Now, my problem with all this crap is there's a lot of GMOs in America. United States of America is full of it. That's okay. But there's a debate. There's labeling. Australia has probably about the same amount of GMOs, but there is no debate. And I promise you, I appreciate when you go to see a doctor tells you, go gluten-free, go dairy-free, go sugar-free, all goddamn free, right? Even everything free. Just go completely free, right? But here's the thing. And the natural doctors, they tell you all gluten-free, but they refuse to tell you what happened to gluten. Gluten was always okay. I remember reading the history, I'm a student of history too, that Egyptians fought war for the wheat belt. They said, whosoever hold the wheat belt is the most powerful. Mediterranean, you're from Mediterranean, right? Yes? Italians eat pasta whole their lives. Sardinians have the longest lifespan in the world. That don't make sense to me that half the population of the world is gluten intolerant. Just tell them it's GMOs. God damn it. Excuse my language. Now, sorry, I have no experience in public speaking, so I'm just kind of talking, right? Now, let's get to some serious stuff on, right? So, all I'm saying, I appreciate all the scientific research done, blah, 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 blah. But a man on the street like me just want to ask a question. What happened to our food? Why every single disease is not a disease no more? It's an epidemic. God damn it. It's an epidemic. Cancers, heart disease, Alzheimer's, children with autism. They're going to grow up one day.
They're trying to kill us.
That's exactly right. But here's the thing. Where's my next slide? Let's look at it. Let's stick on this for a minute. Damien said I've got 5-10 more minutes, right? Damn right. I'm going to stretch it out about 5-6 minutes. Is that okay, guys? Thank you. Shut the gates, I say. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm trying to talk. Now, what I'm going to ask you simplistically, you go home, please, go home and do your research. Due diligence. It's a word I learned in Deutsche. Everybody talks about due diligence. Everything is due diligence. Simon knows that. Everything is due diligence. You're going to go to the toilet, due diligence. Now, you guys have cars, houses, motorbikes, Harley Davidson. Now, before you buy anything, you call 20 mates. Hey, man, what you think about that? Should I do that? You want to buy a house? You get the best lawyer. You get the best people on board. But what you put in your mouth, you never think about that. Just because it got a tick-off heart foundation, you think it's okay to eat McDonald's, man. Got a goddamn big tick, right? Is that right, Beza? Damn right. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Jess. So, all I'm saying, I can't even speak. I hurt my tongue this morning and I was paranoid that I won't be able to speak. So, tongue scraping, have you done it? Tongue scraping, real good for your health. All right, we're running short of time. the whole point of me being here, I'm not a doctor. I'm just like you. Just like you. You know, that's exactly right. All I'm saying, when you go home, for God's sake, or whatever sake, universe sake, whatever sake, just due diligence. Just think about it once, just once. You love, someone's going to have cancer that you know, right? Someone's going to have a heart disease. That ain't no funny. Because you know what? Simple. I don't have much money. But you know, the thing that I always want to have, my health. That's the best asset you can always acquire. There's none better than that. Do you guys agree? Yes. There ain't much you're going to do with the money, but you don't have yourself, you know. It's real time, you know. I mean, Kylie's sitting there, you know, she knows what she's eating and stuff like that. But, you know, but really, like seriously, I was going to buy an iPhone, right? I was checking the specs, this, that. But when you first time ate Macca's, did you ask anyone? No. You? I didn't think so. That's exactly right. So please, that's all I'm saying. That's my job. And asking people to please look into it. These old epidemics is not a joke. Just because Ellen Jones don't talk about it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's okay. It's an epidemic. I've said it about 25 times, right? Now, let's talk about good things too. The good thing is, just like Dr. Clive said, there's a hope. There's always a hope. When I was lying down in St. George Hospital, I had no family support. There's no community around me. I know no one. I call a mate. I would say, hey, man, I'm in the hospital. He hung up on me because he thought I was kidding. It's a true story. Man, that's a true story. He hung up on me because he was gambling on Canterbury Bulldogs game versus Sharks. He just hanged up on me. Important things to do, right? Now, Dr. Clive spoke about, in detail, part of the topic, that's why we're here, is gut-brain connection. It's real important. If you think your mental conditions, illnesses happen just because you have a bad day, Scotty talked about it. Yes, I get that. We do have bad days. We do have good days. However, there's a very strong correlationship between what you eat and the way you think. He used the word microbiomes. Is that right? No, I'm no doctor or scientist, but let me quickly explain it to you how it happens, how it works. Every time you eat food that your gut bacteria does not like. Now, Clive briefly mentioned that we have 90% of our body is bacteria. Do you know the most important part of our body is DNA? Do we agree on that? DNA is really important. Do you know how much of our DNA consists of microbiomes? Anyone? Anyone's guess? 99%. That means literally you live for your bacteria. What you do, everything is determined by the bacteria in your goddamn body. We eat for them, we live for them, not for the car that we have. It sounds weird, maybe, but it's so true. At the end, if someone wants to look at any research that I make in the base of this talk, please ask me. So, going back to the gut bacteria, we talked about GMO, that it's bad. I just said it's bad, whatever, right? But when human body consumes anything which is GMO, what happens? Your DNA, which is the brain of your body, literally analyzes everything you do, unable to recognize it. Say, I don't know this shit. What is this? It will not be able to metabolize it. There is no metabolism of GMO food. And what happens after that? We have leaky gut. And we all know what leaky gut is. That is the primary reason of all autoimmune disease. Please look it up. Do not believe me what I say. But at least, please look it up. I promise you, it will change your life. Now, Dr. David Perlmutter. Has anybody heard of him? Dr. David Perlmutter. Okay. Dr. David Perlmutter, really quickly. They basically take the gut or part of the gut bacteria out of the healthy person and put into a bad person who has diabetics, Alzheimer's, and blah, 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 blah. Within 4 weeks, that person heals. Dr. David Perlmutter, he does that every day in the United States of America. What I'm trying to say, if you eat right, if you flourish your bacteria, just like Clive said, eat a lot of probiotics, organic, raw, good food. If you can't afford it, try it. Try to eat food that are GMO-free. Ask for the labeling. And that's the only way forward. Now, just before I finish, a lot of that is distorted because, I'm trying to tell you that I've never spoken public. I got this excuse. But I wanted to quickly tell you before I go, the basic, simplistic do's and don'ts. It worked for me, and I've seen it working for a lot of people. A lot of people. There are so many people I've spoke to on a daily basis for the past 7-8 years. And you know what? It works every time. It works every time. Now, when a psychiatrist, a person who works on the brain, a doctor, natural doctor, give you a remedy, right? They said, I'm going to crack your back. I'm going to fix you up, right? Or I'm going to give you some mind triggers, like Scotty said, and they will fix your anxiety. It will fix you up. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If I'm hitting my head, but I'm doing everything to get the pain out, until I stop this hitting, nothing going to work for too long, is it? Is that simple? Unless we stop the root cause of what we do, no matter who you go to, it won't work. It will not work. So, I'm going back to the do's and don'ts that I talked about. Very simple. Take the GMOs out of your food. Just take it out and see the difference. 10, 15, 20 days. Clive talked about sugar in detail. I don't have to talk about it too much, but food which is processed. If something did not exist 150 years ago, don't touch it. Do you have to touch it? Does it make you feel better? Even if it does, don't do it, because it makes you feel even better if you don't do it. And that's a promise. I put my hand up, that's a promise. So, simple food, refined sugars, processed food, ain't going to take you nowhere. Water, essence of life. Neil does some good water filters, by the way. Clean, purified water. Water is life. We're made of water. If you think you can just drink tap water just because someone said to you it's going to be okay, I don't know. All I'm asking, do your research. Clean water, take the GM out of your food, eat raw, good quality food. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing in the world that you can't cure. There's nothing. But let me tell you this, if you're going to look at someone who's going to fix you up, it's not going to happen. You should be there. Put your hand up first, make the changes, say, I can fix myself. I have the courage, ambition, and capability to fix myself. And that's what fixes you. Thank you.
What I might do is that if anyone has any questions for our speakers, they're going to stick around for about 15 minutes. So if you'd like to approach them, they can answer your questions. So just like to say on behalf of Arana Hub Coastal, Scott, Damien, Omar and Clive, thank you for attending this evening. We hope you have a good night.